Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sarah Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers during COVID. I believe that your body does want to and is capable of rebuilding and healing itself, regardless of what chronic disease you may have. I'm here for you to answer your questions, bring you innovative and cutting-edge technology and health solutions to empower you and your ability to reach your optimal state of health. Today, my 2 guests will be talking about optimizing life through overcoming physical health issues to then use their mindset to reach their goals, even if they aren't ready. And I know that you really need that strong physical foundation to work on your mental growth. Whether it's overcoming anxiety and depression, losing weight, or detoxing your body in the proper way, and even increasing your level of frequency in life, you need that strong physical foundation of health in order to gain the willpower to make those bigger changes in life. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you get there. You can find my health articles, my cutting-edge natural supplements, devices, and protocols at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I dive into an array of health conditions, their causes and symptoms, and how to address them naturally. And I have spent thousands of dollars and hours of my time biohacking different supplements, technologies, and diets that don't work, so you don't have to. And if you have any health issues and you need help with, you can email me directly through the website. I personally read everyone. Accelerated Health Products is the sponsor of this show, so as you support my website, I'm able to bring you more cutting-edge content and guests to the show. Today, we are going to be diving in on how to optimize performance in work and personal life and the benefits of living in a higher state of vibration or frequency as a result. So first, I wanted to talk about some frequency-enhanced supplements that can aid in the process of healing quicker and more efficiently. First, the accelerated keto. This is the only keto supplement that not only kicks you into ketosis within 30 minutes and gets rid of those cravings for sugar and carbs, but it has the additional fat-burning ingredients that help defat and cleanse the liver. And many of you may be suffering from fatty liver. Keto on its own helps, but this gets you the results much quicker. Also, you will feel mental clarity that you have never felt before, and your brain fog lifts. Your energy produced at the cellular level is 10 times more than it is when you're eating that high-carb standard American diet. And personally, I can go all day fasting with amazing mental focus that allows my body to heal, reduce the pain and inflammation. And also, for those of you who say, I can't eat a high-fat diet, this is a way to kick you into ketosis and use intermittent fasting to maintain that state of fat burning. And as you feel better physically, you're able to mentally increase your frequency and vibration and become a better version of yourself. Secondly, accelerated iodine. Iodine is the wild card in supporting the immune system. It is getting a lot of press right now as everyone is looking for natural antiviral agents. It's antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antimicrobial, and so much more. It actually detoxifies the body from heavy metals and radiation, something we are all concerned about now. It produces mental and physical energy, and it performs that unique function known as healthy apoptosis, which is the natural death of traumatized or unhealthy cells. And there is no pathogen that is resistant to iodine. It was actually used during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. And all of these immune boosting benefits are in addition to its key role for the metabolism and the thyroid and for the immune system in general. So not only that, but iodine is the most important spiritual supplement as it relieves depression and brain fog and helps you connect to your higher self. I talk about increasing your frequency, meaning living at a higher level of awareness and spirituality, and the scalar frequency embedded in the Iodine. This is the only iodine that has this. Detoxifies your pineal gland, which connects you to your higher self, clears that brain fog, and awakens you. And next, with the iodine, the Nuke No More is the only radiation poisoning treatment I have come across that zeroes you out of all non-ionizing and ionizing radiation from smog, x-rays, commercial flying, as well as our smart meters, smartphones, our computers that we're on right now, zeroes you out within two bottles. And it helps you detox from heavy metals as well. Next, the Accelerated Scalar Silver. This is my flagship product because it detoxifies you. It is antiviral. It creates that environment for all foreign pathogens that they cannot survive in. It devitalizes foreign pathogens. And it is programmed with bioinformational scalar technology to further help strengthen the immune system. And like the Acceleride, the scalar frequencies embedded in the silver lifts you to that higher state of being or higher frequency. Now to the good stuff. We have a brother and sister combo today. Mike Lee. He is a world-ranked professional boxer who has fought in some of the world's most iconic arenas like Madison Square Gardens, Cowboys Stadium, and the MGM Grand in front of millions of fans. In 2014, he was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that almost ended his career. He began searching for all natural health solutions, which led him to discover CBD and all of its incredible physical and mental benefits. And his sister, Angie Lee, she is a vivacious marketing woman who's found her soul's calling in helping women kick ass. Angie is a highly sought after marketing mentor, motivational speaker, professional podcaster, serial entrepreneur, and author of Ready is a Lie. Oh my God, I love that title. She's the co-founder of Soul CBD, creator of the #1 females personal development and business event in the United States, Pays to Be Brave, and host of the Forbes Top 100 Business Podcast, The Angie Lee Show. Welcome to both of you guys today. How are you?
Hello.
Hey there, Sarah. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
I'm so excited. You guys are kind of the polar opposite. And I just try to imagine me and my brother working together like this. And I love him to death. Could not work with him. So
it works well together, actually. I mean, you definitely, in most businesses, you need partners that are one who's more of an integrator and more of the numbers. And that's definitely me. And one who's more of a visionary and energy. And that's definitely Angie.
Yeah,
absolutely. My gosh, your energy is infectious. It keeps me up at night sometimes. There was one night I was watching your feed on Instagram and I literally couldn't sleep after that. I will never do that again.
That is the greatest compliment of my life. No, it truly is. Like, people will be like, I was having such a bad day and I just watched some of your funny stuff and it makes me so happy, because I think that's, at the end of the day, getting people, feeling better and getting more energy is everything. So
yeah, I mean, if you had told my 15-year-old self that I was going to be in front of a microphone and have my own business, I would have said you're crazy, because I'm an introvert. But your influence, #1, I love helping people. And so deep down, that's what I want to do. And that's where I get my source of energy from, my why in life. And I always go back to that, and I let go of all of the critics and all of the fears to do that. And you embody that. And so it's so refreshing. And it's so refreshing that you are not, trying to be perfect. And that's a whole nother conversation I want to get into. But before we do, why don't we talk about your background? Because Mike, oh my goodness. I mean, starting at the height of your career and then to be taken down by an autoimmune disease, and autoimmune diseases are my specialty. and how to cure them or heal from them naturally. And I know what the doctors typically tell you. So why don't we go through your story a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned in the intro, I was signed right out of college as a professional boxer by Top Rank and had an incredible career. I actually retired about a year ago with a record of 21-1, got to fight all over the world. My last fight, I fought in the MGM Grand for a huge world title. So Angie was there ringside at pretty much every single fight. So had an amazing career, super grateful for it. A lot of ups and downs, literally and figuratively learned how to get knocked down and get back up again. But as you mentioned, in 2014, actually it was late 2013. Technically, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I was in and out of hospitals and out of the ring for almost 2 years, dealing with significant pain, my immune system shutting down, inflammation, migraines, on top of a lot of back issues, joint issues, just general inflammation. So that derailed my career and really changed my life. I eventually did get back in the ring, but at my lowest point, I was on 8 different medications. And it was really through this journey of going through significant pain that I recognized that another medication and 9 on top of that wasn't the answer. And I slowly went from 8 medications down to 0. I ended up getting back in the ring, chasing a dream, becoming one of the best fighters in the world, and eventually retiring. But it was a beautiful journey for me and teaching me a lot of gifts in the pain. And one of them was discovering CBD amongst many other all natural things that I could use to help with anxiety and inflammation and sleep. So the pain was a blessing. It was really a gift, but it was definitely a tough road.
I have to ask, before you were on the medications or any prescription drugs, did you suffer from anxiety, or was that something that only followed after the medication?
I think I did. It just, at that time, I didn't know what anxiety was. And even, years back, meditation and mindset wasn't as popular in our culture. So I did. It was just natural. Like, I'll tell you this, right before a big fight, Madison Square Garden, there's 20,000 people out there. You're walking out of a tunnel. You're doing something very few humans have done before. And my idols like Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, some of the greatest performers in the world that perform there. So if you think about it, in those moments, my fight or flight, my sympathetic nervous system is at an all-time high. And even the training months leading up to a big fight. So while I know I had anxiety, I also know that my sympathetic nervous system was constantly turned on. And so I was unable to get into parasympathetic for years and years. I was constantly on edge given the nature of the sport I was in. So I think that definitely had damaging effects and maybe caused or at least tipped the scales towards an autoimmune disease.
Absolutely. Chronic stress, it burns the adrenals out and can cause the leaky gut and all the symptoms of just overstress and everything. I always go back to, like you mentioned, your journey is what has made you be who you are now today. Personally, my business grew through my son hitting rock bottom with leukemia at the age of 9. And now he's 18 and he is a healthy, strong athlete. And he's going off to college next year, which Angie, I want to talk to you about later. But anyways, my business would not be here if it weren't for me hitting rock bottom and my son. And I truly believe whenever I talk to somebody and they're going through some tough times, I say, I just can't wait to see what the universe or God is going to bring out of this, because that is where the beauty lies. And if life was so easy, then none of us would grow. We wouldn't grow. We wouldn't become our authentic selves and who we're meant to be. So, Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? I mean, you are so fun to watch and all of that. And yeah, people think it's easy, right? She's just naturally.
Not easy being funny. No, that part is actually, that's probably the only easy part of it. But yeah, I dropped out of college at 21 years old. started a health and wellness blog and started building an audience unintentionally, not really realizing that it could be something that I could eventually monetize. But I just knew I wanted to help people. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't go to class a lot, probably maybe twice a week. I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And so I just remember being there, sitting in class, thinking to myself, this is not where I want to be. Like, I want to go start something of my own. So I've always had the entrepreneurial bug since I was little. And started that health and wellness blog that grew. And I just stayed so consistent with it. I started doing live events and meetups in Chicago. That's where we're from. And 11 years later, now I've built a brand where I do a multitude of things. I have a podcast, I have live events, I have brand sponsorships. I co-founded this with Mike. It's just turned live events. I mean, it's just turned into so many different things, all from me building an audience. And that's my biggest passion, is audience building, community building, and being a content creator. I love creating content. I love making people laugh. I love educating people. I love that. It's my way of expressing my creativity. And so it's been a crazy fun adventure. But yeah, it all started with me one day in college. I was a personal trainer on campus, and I was going to be a dietitian, obviously. And the girl next to me told me how much they made and how much they work. And I literally the next day was like, I'm out. I'm like, I am out. Is this really what I'm doing all this for? Punched some numbers on my calculator, and I was like, are all of you stupid? Like, what are you guys doing here? And so walked into my counselor's office, told her I'm out. She looked at me like I was an alien, and the rest is history. Took my chemistry books and I burned them, and here I am. So yeah, I'm definitely not a huge fan of traditional schooling for many reasons. If someone does have the entrepreneurial spirit, I think college has a time and place, but I don't know. Now it's 2021. I really could not tell you what that is, unless someone really wants to be lawyer, doctor, or something where they need that skill, I guess. But education has just evolved so much, and you can learn more now from podcasts and free information on the internet than you would ever learn in paying $200,000 to go to some place and be in debt and go to some traditional institution. So yeah, I'm very passionate about carving your own path and making your own job. I think I realized from a young age that I'm not very employable, so I had to create a job, to be honest. As a high performer, as someone who has ADD, ADHD, I knew from a young age, I'm a lot like our dad, fortunately or unfortunately. So I realized really young that I was always going to have to create my own job. And so once that hit and I started to study social media marketing, I realized that when you have an audience, you have so much leverage and you can do so many things with that. So it's really just been my obsession for the last 10 and a half, 11 years to build an audience. And then from there, it's been some cool things we've created. So
yeah, people are buying you. They're essentially buying you. And I love that. I mean, when I talk about my son, he's going off to college next year. But I can tell you through high school, some of the things they're learning in high school and now what you hear about in college and what's going on in college. And this is, I mean, we're not even talking about when I went to college 20 years ago. You wonder, why am I sending my kid to college? But he has been questioning education in general. He loves listening to podcasts. He loves, and through this whole COVID thing, I got to tell you, I mean, just last night, my 14-year-old said, yeah, Mom, I'm going to work out between 8:45 and 10:45 tomorrow morning. I go, well, what about school? And she said, well, I just have to check in for 5 minutes with my teacher. They're on Zoom. And I'm going, what are my tax dollars going to right now? Yeah. And what they are teaching is cancel culture and all of this stuff that we didn't really sign up for. And so I do question it. He definitely has an entrepreneur mindset, my son. Yeah. And, we're going to kind of go at it, and he's going to be in an entrepreneur program, which is great. But still, I mean, he said during this COVID period, because he's had extra time, he's learned more in the last 9 months than he's learned in all of his education because of what he's learning outside of school and taking it upon himself. And also during this time, I have told my kids, with such a change in COVID, right? And it's something that you have expressed. And I started laughing when you talked about it. I sat the kids down and I said, what is going to make you successful during this period of time is persistence and pivoting. Yeah. The ability to pivot and to change, and that's what you guys do as well. I mean, with your business and how you're able to pivot during these changing times is so invaluable. And I just love that you promote that. What gets you out of bed every morning?
Which one of us?
Both of you.
That's a good question. I think it's always changing. I think I'm in another season again of actually, you're catching me in that season of really questioning what that is. I've realized that for me, I think it shifts as your career, right? So it started with significance, right? I'm sure Mike will express this too in full honesty, right? It's always significance. Athletes, entrepreneurs, building a brand, followers. It's addicting. It's addicting to watch that number grow. That was what it was for the first few years. And then that gets old. And then it's making money. And then I made great money. And then that got old. And so now it's in the new season again. I just turned 31, 2 weeks ago. So now it's in this new season of like, what does this look like? Where is it all going? What's really the purpose of all of it, right? Because money and significance there's never an end to it. There's never going to be enough of either of those. And so for me, I really love, and I've told Mike this, I'm really obsessed with creating things. I love being creative. I think, I didn't intend to be an influencer. I always joke with people like now, I guess kids in college are writing influencer on their form of what they want to be when they grow up. And I'm like, that was never my intention. I just woke up every day and loved sharing my life. I love sharing products I love. I love thinking of the other person being either entertained or educated. And I'm just obsessed with that. And that's what makes me a good creator, is that I love it. I genuinely love sharing these things. And especially now, health and wellness, I really want my brand to go more back into health and wellness and biohacking. So I love sharing that with people, and it comes pretty naturally to me to create. So everything now is with the intention of helping others, serving others. And is this enjoyable for me to do? I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. So for me, I'm very, very driven by fun. I'm goal-based, but I'm a little bit more, is the process going to be enjoyable based? So yeah, that's what I would say wakes me up, is the idea of helping people. Like Mike said, getting people out of pain. What we do gets people out of pain. And there was a screenshot yesterday of a woman who shared what the gummies have done to her kids. And I don't have kids yet, but for some reason that just like really hits me, because I feel like the thought of our product helping kids to socialize better or to feel better is just so insane. It's just so surreal. So I think, collectively, it's definitely to get people out of pain. Ironically, this other idea I have is to get people out of pain. Mike's story is getting people out of pain. I feel like as a collective, our big passion is just, let's get people out of pain. And, what's really weird is I do it through comedy too. I think Mike loves comedy, and I, secretly, hopefully will be a full-time comedian one day, but I've been expressing that more on my platform, and I love script writing, and I love that. Like, I'm addicted to when someone says, this made me laugh so hard, because humor gets people out of pain. So it's so crazy that everything I do all literally comes back down to getting people out of pain, like getting people out of sadness. And I've always loved that. That's the gift I think I can give people, is I want to bring joy to a room. I want to be the friend people can call, and I'm going to put you in a good mood, and I'm going to make you laugh. And I think that is a superpower. And if you can help people get out of a pain emotionally or physically, it's really beautiful. So.
Well, Angie, before Mike answers, I want to just touch on the fact that you are bringing up a huge point in when you are laughing, or when someone's laughing, their oxytocin goes up, their dopamine goes up, you're getting that dopamine hit. So you physically are changing their chemistry. It's not just some, hoopla stuff about emotional and, laughter. Laughter is healing, and it has that huge physical response. And also about kids, I can tell you, having 3 teenagers during COVID, and this is something that you guys should actually touch on. 1 out of 4 teenagers during COVID has tried to commit suicide. The rates of depression and anxiety have skyrocketed. So what you're doing is huge, and it's needed. And personally, I've seen it in my kids' friends group. It's just awful. And it's kids that you would never expect, because they are not going to school. They're not doing that sport. Mike, think back to when you were not able to get in the ring, and when you're not able to work out, and what that outlet was for you. And then it was taken away. just on a regular basis, Joey can't go to soccer practice. He's home with little sister and brother, and there's nothing, So anyways, just a couple things where your focus on helping relieve pain and anxiety is needed more than ever.
Yeah, that breaks my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially kind of thinking back to what you said earlier about pivoting, I think that's so important right now, to where people need to adapt. I mean, that's what some of the most successful people in the world have done, is adapted, right? And so what I did is transition from a career of being an athlete, and that's really all I knew. And that was a lot of the significance that I got for myself, loving myself, into a career of entrepreneurship, which definitely has its different angles. But even today, I kind of miss that social connection. Like what I had with my team every single day, my strength coach, my trainer, my cut man, my agent, my manager, like we came to work every day and the goal was to be better, and we worked as a team. And now it becomes difficult. Like everything is on Zoom, everything is online, even connecting with my current team at Soul CBD. It's all remote, and I miss that personal connection. Yeah. It's something that human beings have needed for their health, honestly. And it's tough with your brain and your mindset. And I know this firsthand going through autoimmune issues, that, your mindset dictates your health in so many incredible ways. I would argue more than things you can even do physically. And we're just on the cusp of learning more and more about this scientifically. But the power that your mind has over your body is virtually incredible. I mean, you think about it, heart disease is one of the leading mortality rates in the United States. A lot of heart attacks are caused by stress, point blank. That's you're killing yourself with a mindset, with stresses, right? So who's to say the opposite can't happen? Who's to say that with positive thoughts and with the right mindset that you can start healing your body? I know firsthand that worked for me. When I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease, they gave it to me as a life sentence. And I quickly realized that it's not a life sentence, that you can beat this, that you can manage it, that, our medical system right now is not about curing, but treating. And once I realized that you need to take your health into your own hands, it completely opened the doors for me into all these different alternative medicines and ways to just get happy and be healthy. And one of the huge ways to do that was comedy, like Angie mentioned. I mean, laughing through pain is one of the most beautiful things ever, because it gives you hope. And when you have hope, I think it's one of the most powerful drugs on the market.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing what the connection between mind and body is. Joe Dispenza always says the mind can make you sick. Well, the mind can make you well and heal you. So have you overcome your autoimmune disease? And then the other question I wanted to ask is, did the doctors ever say you need to change your diet or add in or nutrition, or was there ever a conversation about nutrition helping with your disease?
No. So in the beginning, I think I'm grateful. I was in a privileged position to where I got to see some of the greatest doctors in the country. I was flying all over the country, even the world, searching for answers like anybody does when they're in pain, right? And too often I was sitting in front of these doctors who were, quote unquote, the best in the world. And they didn't ask me about my mindset. They didn't ask me about my diet. They didn't ask me about any other stressors or anxiety in my life. It was all about, if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And the fact that what I learned is that they only teach 6 hours of nutrition training when you become an MD or a DO. That to me is insane. So I started to learn how important diet was, how important mindset, stress relief is, how important all these other things like natural plant medicine can be. So, when I was on 8 medications, I quickly realized through that pain, just another one wasn't the answer, like I mentioned earlier. So to answer your question, no, unfortunately, I didn't. It took me years and years to start working with functional medicine doctors that started to look at, well, let's see if you have high levels of mold or high levels of heavy metal. Let's look into your diet. Let's look into how you eat, what you eat, with intention. And ultimately, I think my gut was my intuition, was the greatest doctor I could ever have. And I tell that for people all the time. Don't discredit, doctors go to school, they learn a ton, they know a lot more than you in that sense. So they can do incredible things and have saved lives. But having said that, your intuition and your gut will be the greatest doctor and the greatest guide that you'll ever have. So once I learned that, it really started to kind of change my perspective on this autoimmune disease, because I was waking up in significant pain, completely addicted to painkillers every single day of my life. And that's no way to live as a young man,
No, you weren't old. You shouldn't be on those medications like that. And I'm so glad that you found that. And that's something that I try to teach people, especially in a time when we don't want to go to the hospital because it's a scary place to be right now. So take your power back, go with your gut. And I'm trying to teach my kids that as well. And it's a hard lesson, but once you get it and you feel back in control, it's so freeing to know that you truly are your best doctor. We're going to take a short, quick break and come back with Mike and Angie Lee. Welcome back to Accelerate Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sarah Banta, and today we're talking to Mike and Angie Lee, power sister-brother duo. Angie, I want to talk about Ready as a Lie. This is something I actually, when I saw your book title, I called my kids in and I said, I need to talk to you right now. It was so moving, just the title, where I said, you guys, you need to know that you're not going to be ready for the big moments in life, and you need to just go, and you need to be okay with failing. So let's talk about the book and where it came from and everything behind it.
Yeah. So first of all, I love that. Makes me so happy. I'm still in the process of it right now. So hopefully it'll come out end of this year. Pushed it back a little bit due to some other projects and things like that. But the title came to me in the car one day with my boyfriend, and we were bouncing around different names. And he's like, what would you write about if someone just said, what is the biggest lesson, or what's the one thing you would teach someone if you're in an elevator and you have 30 seconds? It's maybe a young entrepreneur or a kid who wants to take risks. I would say that the biggest lie that you've been told is that you have to wait until you have all the answers and you're ready. It's almost like ready as a lie. And then he's like, oh my gosh, that's so yeah, that name to me, I love it. So that makes me so happy that you love it, because it's probably one of my favorite book titles. Thank God it's going to be mine, because it just says it, right? Like you just know immediately within 3 words. It's so powerful. And it's such a beautiful reminder that you sometimes have to build the plane while you're flying it, right? And that's honestly the most successful people you'll ever meet. There's one thing that they have in common. And after having a show like you, a podcast show, I've interviewed some pretty cool people, and the biggest commonality they all had is this: whether it was a DTC brand they started, whether it was a book they wrote, anything they've done, they all say, so we didn't really know what we were doing, but, and then they fill in their story. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. No one talks about this enough. And especially young kids, they think you have to be the smartest or the prettiest or the whateverest, fill in the blank. And at the end of the day, the people who make a lot of money and who are very successful and very happy, they are not perfectionists. They are not perfectionists. So this entire book is the anthem for the perfectionist. That's literally, it's just going all in on perfectionism. I realize that a lot of people have this idea that they have to produce A+ work, or they have to wait until it looks a certain way to put it out there into the world, whether that's content, whether it's a physical product. But the reality is you're not going to know till you get there. And you're not going to be able to get the clarity and the confidence until you're in action, right? And so this paralysis, I call it's the dip. It's the space between your idea and the action. And that's where most people sit, is this dip. The dip is where you have fears. It's where you question yourself. What if we fail? What if we lose money? What if it sucks? What if I'm not good enough? All those little fear gremlins come in the dip. But what I've kind of become really great at, and I don't know if this is just nurture or nature, I'm not really sure, but I'm obsessed with skipping that step. I just go. I have an idea. Let's do it tomorrow. I have an idea. We're starting it today. I'm a very big quick starter. And so this book is really motivating other people to just start messy, start without the answers and get out of the dip, because that is where most people hang out. And then they never take action. They never start what they want to do. They never leave the 9-to-5 job they hate after 50 years of still being there. It's just, they never leave the relationship that's not serving them. Right. And so, man, I think the world could be an even better place if people just started before they're ready.
Yeah. So, I mean, it goes back to the hell I know is better than the option of that I don't know, right? And they just want to sit because change is uncomfortable. Mike, I have to ask you, is this hard for you? Because you don't seem like the personality like Angie, where let's just go. You're more methodical and a little more business minded as far as, wait a second, we need to look at the numbers before we jump right in.
Mike's ready as alive for sure now. Yeah. He's more so now, right? I mean, he jumped in a ring and punched people in the face. So that's pretty ready as alive. I don't think anyone's ever ready to be punched in the face.
Yeah. I definitely think I'm a little more calculated, but Angie's inspired me for sure with this ready as a lie. I think at a very young age, I never wanted the pain or regret. We were always kind of taught that as a young age, that the pain or regret will hurt more than the pain of discipline. And so for me, choosing to get into a career and chase my dream when so many people told me I wasn't good enough, I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't talented enough. I mean, as an athlete, you constantly get those haters online or journalists that say those things. I would get it throughout my entire career. And it was constantly proving them wrong and proving myself wrong. In those days, I believed I couldn't. So for me, I just knew that the pain or regret would outweigh it. So my first fight, for instance, I knew that I would either, maybe I could break my hand and never fight again, or I go on to win and keep my career going. But at the end of the day, no matter what I do, I always want to go to bed at night knowing that I went for it. I really take a sense of calm and peace with that. And even my last fight, I got knocked out and I lost on national TV in front of 1 million people and thousands in attendance, but I went for it. I gave it everything I had. I did something 99.9% of the world wouldn't be willing to do. And I learned more through that quote unquote failure than I ever did through any of the other wins. So for me, I can go to bed at night, knowing that I don't have regrets, and we went for it. And that's kind of the birth of this company too. And anything we've done, we've had companies in the past, Angie and myself, that have failed. And we've learned more through those failures than we ever could have reading a book, sitting in a class. We lost a bunch of money in the past. And now that's actually what has made us successful and made this brand such a huge hit and helping thousands and thousands of people every single month. So I feel like that is kind of the epitome of ready as a lie. Is like, yeah, you're going to fall on your face, but you're going to learn a lot along the way.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I don't have any regrets in my life. Were there dark times? Yes. Were there things that turned out the way I didn't want them to? Absolutely. But I learned so much more from those and from the naysayers in my life than from anyone else. I always joke with, because we know sometimes our family members are the biggest critics in our life. I always say to my kids, thank you for them, because if it weren't for them, it wouldn't have put my nose to the ground and just focus on my goal and what my heart was telling me I wanted to do. It's not the cheer. I mean, yes, the cheerleaders are great, but it's the naysayers that actually pushed me to do what I wanted to do and to make sure that I was reaching the people that I wanted to reach. And someone way early in my business said to me, and this stuck with me so long, she goes, Sarah, don't try to win over the people that are the naysayers in your life. There's so many people that need you. Yeah. Just focus and be open to them. And it's the same for what you guys are doing. So with Soul CBD, were you ready? Or was it, we're just jumping right in?
Yeah. I mean, I remember saying to Mike, we're not experts in cannabis though. We're not experts in cannabis, right? Don't you have to wait till you're like an expert of cannabis for 50 years. And then you get to say that you're worthy enough to launch a cannabis line. But the irony about entrepreneurship is the more you're in it, you realize that sometimes the founders of companies that are now these like billion-dollar brands, they didn't know shit. They just like figured it out because they were just so passionate to help people with it. It's so flipped, right? It's so flipped. There's so many examples where I'm like, what did that person know about that? Oh, they didn't know anything in the beginning. So we weren't experts in it. Obviously, we knew about it. We were passionate about it. We were using it ourselves. We knew people needed it, but we hired a mentor right away who knew the actual DTC space for this niche. And that really helped us in the beginning. He still has a brand now. He's awesome. He was super supportive, and we found him and we did calls with him and he helped us out initially. But no, we definitely weren't ready, right? We could have waited for a lot more knowledge, a lot more pieces in play. We could have waited for even more money to put into it. I mean, we could have waited for so many different things, but with a brand, especially, gosh, whether it's a personal brand or a physical brand, when anybody DMs me, when should I start it? I'm like, dude, yesterday.
Yeah.
Because you are living in one of the coolest times in history. We're in the technological revolution where you can literally go from idea to someone paying you money through a little thing called the computer within literally a few months, if not a few minutes, because you've built brand and you've put content out there, which on a lot of these platforms is free. This is literally like, if we didn't live in this time, this wouldn't even be possible right now. Right. So I'm as a marketer, I'm so grateful for the time we live in. It's one of the coolest times in history to be able to do what we've even did because of social media, Instagram and Facebook ads and these things. Like, it's just, it's insane to me. It's so cool. So we were not ready. Do you think we were ready, really?
No, we learned on the go, honestly.
Yeah.
We came into it with a big community, which I think is huge. And Angie always talks about this, community first, brand second. I think that helped us in the beginning, but I just knew I absolutely loved it. And it helped me get off anti-anxiety medication. CBD helped me with sleep, which helped with inflammation. I felt like this was a wonder drug for me, and it had 0 THC in it. So I wasn't getting high, and I was getting drug tested at the time for these big fights. So if I would have tested positive, it'd have huge implications on my career. And, I'd be in ESPN.com, so my point is that we wanted to come out with something that was not only efficacious, but also extremely safe and had the highest quality ingredients in it. So next thing you know, I'm flying to Kentucky. I'm flying all over the country to these hemp fields, something I'd never done before, but we just jumped in and we started learning the best way to cultivate the best CBD, how to do it, where to source from. And it was just tons and tons of hours of research, picking up the phone, calling, making mistakes, getting burned by some suppliers, learning who to trust, learning the business in and out. That's just what we did. And it was just pure effort that got us there.
Yeah. It's funny. We were in the car the other day, and I feel like Mike and I need to do a whole podcast on this. You're stimulating my creative brain right now. Just starts thinking of this concept, but it's interesting. He said, we made some bad hires, right? Every brand does. Like, oh, we should have hired those people, these consultants, these employees, or man, we shouldn't have put the money into that. We should have done this instead, but you wouldn't know it. But hindsight's 20/20. Right. So you don't know the mistake until you are ahead of the mistake. And so it was interesting. But Mike said, but it's okay. I'd rather have made that mistake than have not had momentum and been moving forward. It's still moving forward. Yeah. You're starting messy and making mistakes, you're always still going to be ahead of the person who's not moving at all. That's just how my brain thinks. And I don't know one massive brand that if you interviewed them today and you said, how did you build it to $100 million brand or $200 million brand? If they said to you, there was no mistakes, we didn't lose any money, we never hired the wrong person, we just started and here we are. Like, that's not the story. So I always think it's healthy to remind ourselves that when those things happen, when you're building a brand, because that's supposed to happen. You're supposed to have moments of like, oh shit, we shouldn't have done that. Or maybe we should have done it this way. And that's just life. But that's why a lot of people don't want to get into it, right? Because that's painful to sit in those moments and think that, oh, I'm a failure now because this one day sucks, or I'm a failure because this 1 month isn't doing as well or something. But if you kind of just look at it as a whole, you almost have to stay so even keel with entrepreneurship emotionally. You can't ride the highs too high. Well, maybe, I don't know. I get excited, very, very excited easily, but they always say the smartest people are not riding the highs or the lows too low. They're just kind of in the middle, and they're just staying consistent, and you just keep showing up. And I think that's the healthy mindset that you have to have, because you can't ride the waves. People ride the waves too much. You see this maybe on social. Girls will be like, oh, this post did great, but then on the next day, my post didn't do well. And I'm like, cool, keep going. Like, you're not going to quit because one post didn't do well. So it's the same thing with brand. It's you just got to stay consistent.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I've turned it around because of the rock bottom health-wise that I experienced. I now look at every challenge or every dark space as an opportunity. And so same with business, any failure, it's like, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? What is the lesson that is going to then catapult me a lot further ahead? We are almost out of time, but before we go, I want to know what your top biohacks are that you do every day. Like they're must-haves, whether it's just drinking coffee or it's exercising or it's sauna. What is it that you guys do every day to get your motors running?
For me, I mean, shameless plug here. I take CBD every day. It helps me so much with anxiety and pain. So, we have these alert caps, which is like a little nootropic, has CBD and a little bit of green tea and a few other nootropics in there that helps me stay alert. So I literally wake up and take 2 of those every day. It kind of gets me out of bed. The other thing I love is hot, cold contrast. And I knew that throughout my athletic career. So I'll do a lot of infrared sauna and then cold plunges, whether it's into a pool, the ocean, whatever it is. But that hot, cold contrast really helps with inflammation. So, that's something anybody can do, whether it's in a bath or a cold shower, or if you have, a sauna or a hot bath. So that's a big recommendation for me. I tell people with inflammation and pain.
I'm trying to get better at cold showers and cold plunges. It's not the most enjoyable experience. I think it's supposed to teach you stoicism or something, but I'm the opposite I'm like David Goggins. No, I'm going to be comfy in my bed. You know what I'm saying? He can go run 80 miles by 6 a.m. and jump in a cold plunge. I'm like, oh man. So I'm trying to do more cold therapy, sauna and sweat. Sweating is so important to detox all of these parasites, all the crap that's in our body. So sweating is so important. Sunlight, grounding. I'm a big fan of lymphatic right now. I'm on the lymphatic train. I think it's going to be one of the big trends that's coming up is lymphatic massages, jumping on the mini trampoline. You can get one of those on Amazon, $100, jumping on that between calls, between meetings, just to get your blood flowing. So great, especially if you're in a time where you can't do hardcore exercise. The trampoline is so great because it's low impact, which is really beautiful for your joints too. So if you're someone listening who can't put a lot of impact on your joints, trampoline is great. And then, my supplement game is very strong. I've got the CBD, I've got the fish oil and omegas, my B vitamins. I'm doing NAD injections now. I'm trying to live to 150 maybe. So
you and me both. Well, before we go, tell us where we can find you because you guys are everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm at official Mike Lee on Instagram. Our company is Soul CBD. It's mysoulcbd.com. There it is right there. Same with the Instagram tag at mysoulcbd. Come ask us questions. I know the number one question is, will this get me high? It won't get you high. Come ask us questions, DM us. And Angie is at Angie Lee Show, right?
Yeah, okay. At Angie Lee Show, angielee.com, mysoulcbd.com. And like Mike said, DM us any questions you have on health, wellness, biohacking. We love helping with that. Or if it's anxiety, anything when it comes to pain or anxiety, we're here to answer your questions and to help you out. So.
And I can't recommend following them enough. Angie makes me laugh every single day. So, and that raises my dopamine and my oxytocin. So we're all good with there. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. You have so much to offer and I love your stories. I love your relationship. I love everything about you and all that you truly do embody the body, mind, and spirit and living the optimal state of life. So I'll see you in 150 years, right? When we're still both alive.
Yeah, exactly. Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. This was so great. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for joining us today. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly, Sarah at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. I know sometimes it's hard to know where to start, and you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, my YouTube channel under Accelerated Health Radio, and you can also find this episode and all my episodes across every single podcast platform, including iTunes Radio, iTunes, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, and whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. Also do Accelerated Health Bites, where I do short informational videos. I'm also doing group coaching with my Ascent Detox Diet cleanse that has been so successful with everybody, because you have the group of the supplements that get you the results much quicker, and you end with a liver flush, flushing hundreds to thousands of stones down the toilet. So definitely join me or DM me if you have any questions about that. Don't miss next week's interview, and you can use coupon W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great week.